Holy shit, Mark Ronson's on the hot hits. This is crazy.
Holy shit. Holy shit. He's here from the airport lounge in San Francisco.
So Nick today was like, he's going to be doing it from an airport. I said, bro will be in a lounge. He'll be in the lounge. He's not going to be out in the carousel.
I know, like in the McDonald's, that would be great. It's just so loud out there.
That's what I thought. I imagined you just walking around with your phone, just sort of like, here I am. Here's the CNN news agency. Here's this.
Yeah.
Dude, it is an honor to have you on this show. Thank you for everything you've contributed to our musical lives so far,
Yeah.
and to have this new
Thank you.
song out at the moment. Tell me how you met Ray, how you first came across Ray, because this feels like a match that was always going to happen.
Yeah, I remember I've definitely been digging Ray stuff for like a long time, like even when she was doing the dance records. And then obviously escapism, I mean that just like blew up everywhere. And I've kind of have I lived in New York most of my life. I speak with this ridiculous accent, but I am English, you know? So whenever I see an English artist come up and like make an impression like she did, I was kind of like cheering her on from the sidelines. So when we finally met, we got together in the studio, and I always want to come in with a little bit of music ready before when I'm going with someone for the first time. So I recorded this track with two of my friends, musicians, and played it, and she just lit up. She was just like, cool. She just give me the mic. She grabbed the mic and she started writing right away. I remember she said right away something, it seemed very random at the time. She said, I think this song's got to be called Suzanne, like before she sang a note. And so that was it.
Wow. I mean, so many people have sort of drawn comparisons between Ray and Amy Winehouse, obviously, for so many different reasons. Is there anything, I mean, we don't like to compare. We kind of think everyone should be their own version of themselves, but is there anything in her that you see specifically that other people wouldn't that reflects Amy?
Um, I think that they're just like they're both English. They're just like bosses, you know what I mean? Like they just don't take any shit from anybody and they kind of do what they want. And obviously they both have incredibly like incredible soulful voices as well. And I know like even before I met Ray, I know that she's compared to Amy because of, the fact that they're British and soulful and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I try not to think about those things because even for me, without even the artist that Back to Black looms so large, it might be the thing that people love the most, that I'm most remembered for, but I just always have to think about the new stuff when I'm making it.
Yeah.
100%. When are you making the new stuff at the moment? Because I know you've spoken, I saw you talking to Zane Lowe about the fact that, this isn't going to be an album or anything. This isn't like the start of an album campaign. This is a standalone track. What goes into deciding when to release music and when to put yourself back into the release cycle?
um when I have 10 songs that I think are amazing. So I spent the last couple of years also, I mean, other than working on Barbie and some different things, working on writing this book about DJing. And I feel like uh I feel like when people think about DJs, they either think about like a wedding DJ or Calvin Harris and like don't really know like all the stuff in between. And for me, like in the 90s, I was just like a gigging DJ. I was a teenager in my 20s. And then over a couple of years, I kind of blew up. And then I was DJing for Aaliyah and Jay-Z and these kind of superstars in the time in New York when it was very exciting. But I wanted to write about, yeah, what that's like to just be a DJ and deal with lunatic club owners and people sort of on drugs, spilling drinks all over your records, and just like that very high and very lonely thing that comes with it. So I'm working on a record that is goes with that. So it's got some touches of the 90s and it's a DJ record, and hopefully that will be done soon.
Amazing. Is there any artists that are kind of around at the moment that you would love to? I mean, obviously anyone's going to want to collaborate with you, but is there anyone that you would really love to work with?
I think, I've always wanted to work. Drake is someone that I've never worked with, and I feel like on this record I love uh, that. And then I don't know, there's so many incredible I try not to get too caught up in thinking like who I want or this thing or that thing. Hopefully it just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, let it happen naturally. You spoke to something a minute ago, the kind of, loneliness that can come with, the gigging DJ lifestyle. I wonder for you these days, as a solo artist and as a solo producer who is very much the master of his own destiny, can it be lonely sometimes being Mark Ronson, or are you still surrounded by so much, love and energy that it doesn't get lonely these days?
Well, I have two little girls now, so there's very little time for any kind of thoughts about anything that have to do with me
Anything
alone at
else?
this
Yeah.
point. Except when I'm in the studio, and I still love that. And I get to collaborate and be in rooms with amazing people like Ray and stuff like that all the time. So there's always the energy of those people around. So I'm very lucky to have that. And I guess there's times like, yeah, occasionally when you're kind of alone, but no, I'm lucky to be surrounded by people I love and people I love making music with.
Mm. I was reading before, I mean, you are halfway to an EGOT, right? You've got your Grammys, obviously, you've got your Academy Award. Um, can we expect, I mean, I would love to see a Mark Ronson the musical and you can like nab that Tony.
Yes, would love that.
Yeah, I would love to. I really did enjoy working on, I guess writing I'm Just Ken was sort of like the closest thing we
Yeah.
ever got to a musical, and if there was a chance to do more of that, that would be I'd love to write a musical for Ryan Gosling. That would be fucking cool. Sorry,
I I
sorry my
love it.
language.
You can use whatever language you want, my
Exactly.
friend.
Okay,
We're more
okay,
than welcome. We have bleeping available
Yeah.
here.
Fuck, 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 fuck.
Fuck,
See?
fuck. The book. I want to talk about the book for a sec because when I heard you were doing this, I'm really really excited to dive into it because it's a world that as someone who was born in '95, in Australia, I like have this romanticized idea of what it's like, that '90s kind of New York
Mm.
DJ world. Um, was that like creatively writing a book? Does it have any similarities to making music? Did you feel any through lines between the two?
yeah, I did. There was a lot of the just solitude, so like really just being alone, and I would try and write 4 or 5 hours a day and just like alone in a room, and then I think it was the thing that was exciting. It's something I've never done before. So, music, I've been making music now for, I don't know, 20, 25 years. And I have a sense of, I've made records that I thought were good that weren't hits. And it's not like everything I do, I know if it's great, it's going to be a huge smash, but at least I know if it's any good or not. With this book, I was really like 2 years into it being like, what if this is not good? Like, I don't even know. I've never done this before. But there was some excitement certainly around like that new thing. Like, really, it did make it like, it did bring back that feeling of like the early days of working on music when something is just fresh and new.
Yeah.
Mm. I always think when people write books, my memory is so bad. Were you going off purely like memory, or have you got journals, photographs, and things like that that you kind of get to reflect over and use them?
I must have interviewed like maybe 150 people. I lost count at some point for the book because I wanted to tell as much of the paint the clubs as vividly as possible. So
Yeah.
sometimes that meant talking to the door guy, the bartender, someone who was on the dance floor, people I hadn't spoken to in 20 years, just calling up, being like, "Hey, what happened that night when blah blah blah." So thankfully, yeah. And also music is such a great, like there's songs that I just hear instantly and I can just picture the club and where we were.
I
Yeah.
say this, we talk to a lot of DJs specifically, and I say this to them. I think electronic music and that style of music for me, I mean, I love all music, but there's something about that genre of music that is so deeply attached to the memory part of my brain. Like I can hear an electronic dance song or something, and it takes me to this certain time in my life. And I don't know what it is about that particular genre. It just takes you there
Crazy.
immediately.
Yeah, I think you just music kind of it's not just a photograph, right? Because music actually resonates, not to get all science, but music resonates in your body. So those memories are in your body because you felt the bass or whatever it was. So yeah, that makes sense that you would feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. As someone who watched your Apple TV show, which was very sciencey and very, very nerdy,
He's the music nerd over
I'm very
there.
happy for you to get sciencey on me. That
Oh,
fucking Reverb episode. It was, it was
Yeah,
cemented in my brain forever. It was
yeah,
insane.
that was crazy. We went down to this giant abandoned tank underground in Scotland where if you make a noise, it just rings around for 4 minutes straight. Like it's the longest reverb. So, um, yeah, it was crazy being down there. And I
It's-
came out like just like covered in oil because
yeah.
I guess there still is some oil down there.
I said to Nick the other day because he accidentally knocked his drink bottle on his microphone stand the other day, and it honestly made this like wong, 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 wong,
Wonder
wong
if I can make
sound for about like
Oh, that's
can you,
cool.
it lasted for ages. So next time you don't need to get dirty and oily, you can just come here and
Okay.
and use our broken equipment
Yeah.
and we'll help you.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
thank you for everything.
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
also want to thank you for you put me onto Eli, who I'm now obsessed with as
Oh,
well.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
we
Amazing.
played
Yeah.
we played 2 tracks in the last 2 weeks from her. I
Yeah.
just think she's so exciting, and your ear and eye for music is unmatched. Thank
Yeah.
you so
I'm
much for
supposed to.
doing so.
That's so cool. I'm supposed to see her tomorrow. I will tell her.
Oh,
Please do.
awesome. That would be
Yeah, she's
amazing.
been
Amazing.
a little back and forth on Instagram.
Yeah.
Appreciate you so
Amazing.
much